Hey, what's up everybody? This is vid 2 of this weekend's pickups, and got another very cool BB gun to show you guys, which happens to now be the oldest in my collection and the first of its kind. It's in Mega Score. Anyways, for anybody that didn't watch my last videos, last Saturday I picked up this old Crossman BB gun from a guy at my swap meet, and once again this is a Crossman Frontier Model 36 Peacemaker, and got to talk to him this time for a while. He wasn't totally swamped with people, as in I was the only one looking at stuff, and caught him when he was desperate for money. He was not selling anything and just lucked out big time. As in, I may have ended up paying more if he was selling stuff and figured he could get more. Anyways, this one he figures he got in 1970. As in, what he was trying to do, as he was collecting them, he was trying to get each variation of it as they came out with a new model. And this one, this particular type was made for a long time, so a lot of variations, mainly just upgrades or whatever, on just making stuff on the internal parts better, mainly with the CO2. As in, this one is pretty close to the way our CO2 guns are made now, when it comes to how the CO2 goes in with the, basically with the seals and everything, and the shape of the piece and how many parts are in it and whatnot. Anyways, he had one next to it that I didn't go for because it really needed a lot of restoration work that had to do with just the appearance of it. Otherwise it worked, but damn near all the paint was off of it. And I really didn't care for the gun holster it was in, as in, this is the holster. Anyways, speaking of this holster, when I walked up to his booth this Saturday, saw this with a gun sticking in it that I thought was that one, and I was going to see if maybe I can get it a little bit cheaper than the last one and just save it for if I do want to try and restore it. Anyways, he sold that, and the guy did not want this. And what he did, as in he was collecting them, he had the original 1958 Hahn Model 45 that he got for Christmas when he was a teenager stuck in there, and all I was seeing was this. So it was fooling me until I pulled the gun out and damn! As in, he didn't have to tell me it was from the 50s, man. This thing screams 50s. Way fancier on how it's made compared to the other one. As in, mainly with just all the writing on it and stuff. As in, this Crossman and pretty much all the ones you find today, the logo on it and stuff, for just the brand name and the type of gun, and then the other information saying where it's made, or where it's from and made by. It's all just one stamp, to where they stamp it into the side of the gun, and the background around the wording is recessed into the metal, and then all the wording pops out. This one, all the lettering and everything is stamped into the gun, and no recessed areas around it, as in they just took up what space they could use and fit everything in. As this one says Hahn 45 BB single action revolver on one side, which to show its age, the word Hahn starts right behind the chamber there, or the cylinder I mean. Pretty large print, rather large print for the number 45 that's in quotations, and instead of just being like one stamp, it's little dots that they stamped into it to spell it out. Same with the quotations, and then BB written large. And then the small wording, and smallest wording really on the gun, is where it says single action revolver, and that they just took up the last little amount of space where the S in single is right up to the edge there. And then on the other side, PY Hahn, MFG Co. INC, Fairport, New York. And you've got a screw here that goes through to hold on the trigger, and then another one up here that's about almost up to the end of the cylinder. All that space in between is where they got that stamped, and once again the lettering goes right up to the edge, so bigger type than usual. And try not to make this video too long. On variations and stuff, big time on the CO2, man, is in this is the original style that they did for the CO2, and it is way primitive compared to this one. And that's where they probably did good for the time for somebody that would be playing with this to death and probably end up breaking it. But for somebody that wanted to keep it for years and years and pass it on, not too good. As in, instead of having it to where when you stick in the CO2 cartridge, it has like a little rubber gasket all the way down in the bottom of that hole to where the end of the cartridge hits, they had it to where there's an O-ring to the outside of that area, and it's just a hole going straight down, flat at the bottom with the little poke pin sticking up. That O-ring's to the outside area, so they figured when he stuck in the CO2, that O-ring be wide enough so it would grab around the circumference of it and seal it off that way. And just from constantly taking out cartridges and putting them back in, and possibly CO2 squirting out of not so empty cartridges, that's basically hardened up and kind of eroded away to where now it's just metal on metal. Anyways, that's one of the big differences, as in the other one's more close to what we got now. Another difference, the little wheel here that you spin to make that bolt go back and forth to tighten in the CO2 cartridge, smaller, more tapered down, looks a lot better than the other one, as in the other one's a lot bigger, quite a bit bigger, as in this one they were really trying to model it after the original Colt 1873 single action Army 44 cal, to where that one does have like a piece of pipe that I don't know what it's for until I get the gun, man, or see one for real. But that's what they were trying to make the CO2 look like, was that piece of pipe, as in they had the plastic cover or whatever that went over it to blend it in, and then that was supposed to resemble like a little metal band or something to hold that on. And then on the hammer, main part of it identical on both guns, and looking at the original Colt, it is literally down on the shape. I mean, they got it right. But when you cock it back, the other one has like a notch cut in right there to where it hits something else in there to make the CO2 go or whatever. This one, all it hits is a little pin that's sticking out in there to fire off the CO2. So big change on that. And also this one, if you pull back just a little bit, the trigger pops forward and you cannot pull back to do anything until you cock it completely to fire it. I don't know if that's a safety feature or what, but the other one don't do that. And then on the trigger, because of its age, this one, just a flat piece of metal that they shaped out into a trigger, which definitely resembles the one on the Colt. It's all tapered down the same way. The Crossman version, more like what we got now, to where it's almost twice as wide as this and a little bit fancier looking, but same thing on being tapered down like that. On the shape it's the same, it's just wider. And other than the grips, maybe on other internal parts that I can't see, man, there's really nothing else they changed. The frame of it's pretty much the same. And on the weight, they were trying to make it weigh either the same as the original Colt, if I had one, or damn close, as in it weighs like a real gun. It's got a lot of heft, same with the other one. So anyways, before I get too big of a video here, as I'm creeping up to 10 minutes, what I did to fix that, as in it was leaking out like a son of a bitch. First time I tried this, when I got it home, I popped in a CO2. Immediately it started spraying out all over the place as soon as I did the couple of shots, not 4 or 5, as in second time it pierced it. This one works better on piercing the CO2. It just started spraying out, and I did good to get 3 shots off before it emptied it. So, nice to be a pack rat. I know it's not some really old nasty crack cocaine. Anyways, I was going through a drawer of stuff, just throwing away things that didn't need. This was in the bottom of it, and it's little pieces of black rubber tubing, and I'm thinking it may have been something stuck onto something pointy, so when you got it out of the package you didn't poke yourself, like little protector type things. But on the way it looks, I'm thinking you can go to like AutoZone or whatever, or just any other auto place, or maybe even Home Depot, and look at some rubber tubing and possibly be able to match something up to this. Mainly for car, because I used to have a Volvo, and I had a lot of the airlines that would just break on it coming off the carburetor and stuff, just from the heat. And a lot of the tubing was about this size, so you may do better at an auto place. And make sure that that center hole is just big enough to where that little needle thing that pops the CO2 can go through without hitting any rubber. So anyways, what I did was slice off about, I'd say, 1 millimeter thickness. You might be able to go a little bit more than that, but not too much. I did it to where the thickness stops right at the top of that little needle on how much it sticks out inside that thing, so it's not too much, but it's enough to where when I tighten up the CO2 now, instead of just right metal on metal, it sticks out just enough to where when I tighten it down to metal on metal, it's pushing against that and makes a really great seal, to where now this thing fires like it's brand new. And compared to this one, holy shit. They're showing on this site on feet per second and stuff as they did a performance test. The other one is in this one. Best they got was about 325 feet. This one, about 350 feet. And that was cocking it like this, holding the trigger and doing a 10-shot burst, one shot after another. And one thing on this, man, when I got it to work, I fired off some BBs and shot the ground about 10 feet in front of me, left a nice little BB crater in the ground, and I got pretty soft dirt in my yard. Nice deep crater for a BB hit. It didn't just stay in the crater, it ricocheted out of it and hit my shed behind the place about another good 20 feet away on a ricochet, and I heard it hit, and it hit hard. Can't wait to obliterate some cans with this. When my neighbor decides to go far, far away for the day, as in, this puppy is loud too. It's as loud as this Humorex squeezing off just the single shots. So I'm thinking, because of its just being more primitive, it's blasting out more CO2 than what's regulated now to make that BB go out. Just bigger chambers or something. As in, just plain badass. Anybody gets one of these, man, consider yourself lucky as all hell. So, long enough on this. Say goodbye to you guys. Feel free to comment. Hopefully I won't get no downs on this video, as in, I don't know how you can down this. This is something that you definitely don't find every day. These suckers are pretty sought after from what I found online just doing research on it. This is the one that the collectors want. And no, it's not for sale. I am keeping this for a long time, as in I'm going to hang them up like this, back to back on just a piece of belt. Have them displayed once I either repair this or get another nice gun holster like this. Too cool.